movie down. I'm watching Draft Day.
I haven't watched that one.
Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative thoughts, I pop off when I hear people say I cannot. I get off to the thought of proving everyone wrong, I won't stop to the top, so you better back off and get lost. I'ma stay loud, stay proud, never running out, never heading south. I'll be spreading out, call it word of mouth, can't put me down, I'll be getting loud. You can have it douse, not what I'm about, have your cloud, it be raining now, I keep making sound, go another round, I'm legend bound, can't stop me now. You don't wanna fuck with me, a slow burn like a disease. Just tell me that I can and I'll show you things that you couldn't believe. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can.
All right, everybody, man. Welcome to another edition of Unscripted. Please like and subscribe to our content. Make sure you guys are commenting tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun. Got a lot of things to talk about. Logan, how are you doing this evening, my brother?
Hey, I'm doing good, Jay. And Jay, you know what tomorrow is for a few teams? It's opening day for spring training, brother.
Oh,
We
my
finally
God.
made it. We finally made it.
I can't wait, man. Honestly, I think we've all been kind of waiting for this day to kind of see what our teams can do. I know Gonzo, I believe tomorrow we talked about that. The games kind of start up and get kicked off over the weekend.
Yep.
Speaking of Gonzo, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Not too bad.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We got quite the show for you guys this evening. Hey, make sure, again, you check out the mobile app now, or the app for ASAP Network, literally ASAP Network. Just type that into Google Play, Amazon, and you will check us out. Also, we are now with Roku. We are partnered up with BetUS or BetUs. So lots of things going on. Make sure you check us out there, as well as check out Unscripted on TikTok and things of those natures. TikTok at Unscripted Sports, all one word, and Twitter at Unscripted Guys, all one word. We do a pretty good job keeping the updates flowing over there. So make sure when we're not going live, you check us out for any updated information in the world of sports. But with that ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it, fellas. Let's talk about the Hawks for a minute. We're going to start off there. The Hawks fired Nate McMillan, looking for a new voice. It looks that new voice is going to be former Hawks assistant Quinn Snyder, also a former head coach of the Utah Jazz. Seems to be the front runner there. It looks like they were in long-term talks. The talks are getting pretty serious. It looks like, they brought in a new general manager in Fields, and Fields basically wanted a new guy to take over the helm. So he tagged Joe Prunty, as the interim. And if you know anything about Prunty, he was the interim coach for the Bucks when he took over for Jason Kidd. And they did get knocked off in the playoffs, but he was there for that. So now he's going to be there for the Hawks in this interim period until Quinn Snyder takes over eventually, it looks like. But it looks like they want to develop this team. They want to take it in a different direction. They have a different scope for what they want this team to look like. And they are number 16 in offense efficiency and number 21 in defensive efficiency. So they do have a lot of work to do over there. But Gonzo, let's start off with you, man. What do you think about Nate McMillan at this point, getting the boot, and the interim being Prunty and possibly Quinn Snyder taking over the helm?
We talked a little bit about this last night, Jay, and I think Snyder would be a good hire, but I don't think they should have moved on from McMillan yet. I mean, he had him in the playoffs the last couple of years. This year, yeah, they haven't looked good, but I think it's more the roster that they put together than it is the coach. I don't know how coachable Trae Young is. He don't want to play no defense. That's for damn sure.
Right.
And And then I think they need to move on from Capella as well in that lineup. But they have a good enough team; they should be winning more games. I don't think it was all McMillan, and so I didn't think he should have been fired. But I do think Snyder will be a good hire because Snyder's a good coach and he's familiar with Atlanta.
Yeah, a lot of people, Logan, a lot of people don't realize or, I guess maybe have forgotten because it's been a hot minute, but Clint Capella was the center out there with Houston Rockets. And I thought, back when he was with Houston, he did a fairly good job on the defensive end with blocks and rebounds. I think he's kind of over to Atlanta and kind of subsided a little bit. And like to Gonzo's point, Trae Young and them, they don't really play a whole lot of good defense, which obviously is evident with them being ranked number 21. But where do you see this Hawks team going now? Did they make the right move to get Nate out the door and start the process of getting the new coach in the door? I mean, where do you see this?
Yeah, I mean, last year, obviously the 21 season was a really good year for them. They went deep in the playoffs. But 21, 22 was a struggle. They barely finished above 500, and now this year they're a few games below it. So obviously they weren't getting the results that they wanted, and we all know that head coach is usually the first one to go, and that's the case for him. They said it wasn't anything personal, that it didn't work out for him, and for a team with a roster who should be doing a lot better than they are right now and fighting for an 8 seed. They had to do something, right? And if they do get Quinn Snyder, which it looks like that's going to be their guy, they met with him on Zoom, and so if they're going to have an in-person meeting with him here shortly, I think it's a good hire, right? We know what he did in Utah for all those seasons. Was a consistent playoff contender, right? And like I said, they've got some good pieces, but they they just got to step up a little bit on defense. And they're one of those teams, they're kind of like the Warriors, I say, in a way. And because, if they're not hitting their shots, 9 times out of 10, they're going to lose the ball game. Because, they got some good offensive weapons. Obviously, we know Trae Young is, top 10 pretty much every season in assists and for points. For what he lacks on defense, he makes up for on offense. I think Murray's been a really good addition. You said Capella. He's gonna go out there and give you about 10 and 10, average around a double. But it's really just the other pieces they gotta get figured out, man. They gotta really their bench needs some work. They picked up Sadiq Bey, who that's still early into his career there, so it's hard to judge. But I think they just need some bench help and some guys who are more defensive minded. But I do think this is going to be end of the year playoff team. I'm not going to say super high, but I think they will make the playoffs with the current roster they have. Plus, I think that Prunty will be a nice, like you said, he's got head coaching experience before, so I think he'll help lead the charge. Probably for the, I don't know if they're going to do the rest of the season. Usually that's how it typically goes. But if not, then hey, more power to them. But I think they'll still be a playoff team, but I don't see them going super far this year.
Yeah, and I think the one saving grace, before we move on to the next topic that they do have is the fact that I think Prunty, given his interim experience in the playoffs, like I said before, with the Bucks, that does, help them, in this transitional period from McMillan to the new coach. So I think they are definitely graced with having him there. And, we'll see where they go from there. It should be interesting to say the least. They are in the 8th spot. They are at 29 and 30 for the season, so we'll see where they can go throughout the play-in process. Real quick, the next topic I want to kind of talk to you about is to tag or not to tag, and who do we tag and who do we not tag? Kind of give you a little background information. Again, these numbers are specifically on the non-exclusive franchise tag, which means obviously that other teams can make offers, and then, of course, the original team does have the right to match and so forth. So this is just the non-exclusive. The exclusive obviously is quite a bit more in money, but they get the off the market. Give you an example: the quarterback non-exclusive is $32 million, and I believe with the exclusive tag it jumps up to $40 million. So that kind of gives you an idea of the gap between non-exclusive and exclusive. But just to kind of give you an idea, a brief rundown: quarterbacks, like I said, are at $32 million. And then again, this is the first time that they get tagged. Now, the second time obviously goes up in money as well. But on the first time, quarterbacks are at 32, wide receivers are at 19, tight ends are at 11, offensive linemen are at 18, defensive ends are at 19 million, defensive tackles are at 18 million, linebackers are at 20 million, cornerbacks are at 18 million, safeties at 14 million, and kickers, punters are at 5 million. So that kind of gives you an idea of what it looks like on the first time, non-exclusive. And again, if they get tagged the second time, those numbers do go up. And then, of course, if you get the exclusive, the numbers go up as well. So that just gives you an idea of what they're looking at when they do tag these guys. Let's start off with Lamar real quick. One thing I want to point out about Lamar too, and we'll start here first. Lamar has come out and said, Logan, verbatim, or let's put it this way, it has been brought out that he specifically wants a contract that is better than Deshaun Watson. Better. That means he wants the full guarantee. Full guarantee. And again, if you don't understand, they already offered him a 5-year, $250 million deal at 133 guaranteed, and he is flat out said that's not going to work. You are going to give me the full guarantee. I will get a better contract than Deshaun Watson if you want me to stay here in Baltimore. Flat out, that's what he's come out and said. Kind of give you a little background on DeMar's last year, his stats. Again, the last 2 seasons, he is yet to complete. He's been injured both seasons and finished it on the injured reserve. But this season in 22, he put up 22-42 on the passing, 764 on the rushing in terms of yards, 20 touchdowns. But he did miss the last 5 games of the season, which is what allowed Tyler Huntley to make his quote-unquote Pro Bowl appearance due to a knee injury. Let's start there, folks. Gonzo, the guy wants better than Deshaun Watson. Do you really think, is it in the best interest for Baltimore to tag this guy, or is it in their better interest to just look for a trade and move on from him?
I think what Baltimore's going to do, and I don't know what's in their best interest, because if you don't have him, who's going to be your quarterback? You're basically going back into rebuild mode. And when you have him, especially if you can get some more weapons around him, he had him in playoff contention when he's healthy almost every year he's been there. So, he's proven that he can win games in this league. The problem is, if they don't give him the money, somebody's going to give him that money. Just because so many teams are desperate to find that quarterback. I think they tag him this year. I really do. I think they tag him before March 7th and then try to get a deal done with him before July. I think it's July 15th. And then after that, you can't negotiate till the end of the season. And I think they're going to try to get a deal done in that period. And if they don't, they'll play out the season and then see what happens in the next offseason. Either you trade him or you can always tag him one more time. When Kirk Cousins got tagged twice before Washington ever decided to get rid of him.
Yeah.
So you can see, I could see the same thing happening with Lamar Jackson. I could see them maybe trying to tag him twice. Now he could refuse to tag and then he'd have to sit out a whole season. I mean, that would be one option he would have. But I could see the Ravens trying to maybe franchise tagging him twice. And kind of working out kind of like the Kirk Cousins situation did.
Yeah, Logan, a lot of what Gonzo has said is absolutely agreeable. And then to add even to add where he left off, like I said, this guy has not completed 2 seasons. If you tag him, I guarantee you he sits out for that tag season and then comes back if you give him the long term. So do you tag him, give him the $40 million if you wind up going the exclusive route, give him that $40 million, and then for a fact if you're gonna expect to keep him, do you then give him the $250 and give him the full $250 guaranteed?
Yeah, I think Chris said it best, man. I think they're gonna end up tagging him for the time being. And if they get a deal done, then he'll get his money like he's wanted since the beginning of last season. We've heard him ask for that, and if not, then I think there is a legit possibility he sits out. and says, you know what, if you guys don't want to pay me, then I don't want to play for y'all. Good luck with Tyler Huntley and see how you can do there. I know he had the injury issue late last year, and obviously he said he hasn't played a full season in the last 2 seasons, which is a slight cause for concern, I would say. But I mean, I think he will get his money, whether it's for the Ravens or whether if it's someone else. But I've said since the beginning, I think the Ravens are going to give him his money, and I'm sticking to it. So we'll see if Baltimore gets that cash up there, or if he's walking somewhere else.
Yeah, I think at this point, it's a game of chicken. And I think that Baltimore is going to be the ones that go into the ditch. And I think that Lamar does come out in the end of this. Again, I think they're going to wind up spending $40 million. I think this guy's going to sit on the bench. And then I think he plays when they give him the full deal. So I think Lamar's going to get a free year off. He's going to get a nice, good 40 mil. But at the end of the day, Logan, I think to your point and to Gonzo's point, they're going to give him the 250, and it's going to be fully guaranteed at the end of the day. Moving on real quick to New York, they're going to have to look at Jones and Barkley.
Can I say one thing real quick?
Absolutely. Go ahead, brother.
And we have, and not us, but these owners have this problem now because of the Cleveland Browns being so stupid and giving the deal they gave to Deshaun Watson and resetting the quarterback market.
They messed it all up.
Yeah. And that's exactly what Damien was talking about. Very few things as Damien Post I agree with, but it's true. Deshaun Watson was not
Damien's
worth the full guarantee, but that did set the market. And once you set the market, that's generally what happens. He says he sees Lamar going to Green Bay if Rodgers leaves. I don't know he goes to Green Bay, but
I wouldn't. I just don't think Green Bay could make it work with their cap. That's the only. That's one reason I don't think so. I don't know if they really don't have no trade capital to really trade to Baltimore for him.
I think if they wind up moving on from Rodgers,
they wouldn't have the money. They don't have the cap money to give him the.
Oh hell no! Hell no, they don't. You're right, they don't. And I think if they do wind up moving on from Rodgers, they're going to throw Jordan Love up there and see what they got, which is what I think they should do. Honestly, the guy's been there for a hot minute. I think it's time to see what you got in him.
Dude, it's that the whole situation is just so oddly the same as the Favre situation. It's just crazy how it's like the same thing just happening over.
Yeah, it's almost like Favre put down the rule book and Aaron fell right into it.
Rodgers sat behind Favre for 3 years. Love's been behind Rodgers for what, 3 years? Something, yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if Jordan Love falls in that. If he does pan out, I wouldn't be surprised if he falls into that same motif. But real quick, let's get on to Jones and Barkley real quick. Both are 25 years old. Both are coming off the best seasons that they've had so far in the league. Both have shown flashes, but not enough, I think, either one of them for a long-term deal. I think Barkley because of injuries, Barkley because of running backs have a shorter shelf life than other positions. And I think Jones simply because, this is the first year under Dable, and we need to see a little more consistency, I think, if you want that long-term deal. But either way, somebody's got to get tagged. Who do you tag? I think if you look at it from a financial standpoint, Barkley is the cheaper of the two to franchise tag, right? And then, of course, Daniel Jones is the more expensive one to franchise tag. Which way do you go, guys? Gonzo?
I think the Giants are going to sign Jones to a deal and then tag Barkley. But I don't think they're going to give him a big long-term high money deal. I think they're going to get him. They're going to try to sign him to like a 2-3 year deal. Get him out there because I don't think they're 100% sure on what they got because of what he done this year. I think they think that maybe he could be our guy. If and a lot of that depends on how Dable feels about him. But I think Dable likes Jones. And if you put some weapons around him, so I think they're going to try to sign him to a deal. I don't think they're going to give him near what he's asking for, but I don't think there's a team. I think he's going to realize there's not a team out there that will give him that right now. But if you sign a 2-3 year deal with the Giants and you keep playing like you did last year or start even playing better, then in 2-3 years, you're going to be able to get that bigger money because there's going to be more teams that'll be interested in you because you proved that you could do it on a consistent basis and it wasn't just like a 1 year fluke.
Right. I agree with you, Logan. There's a lot of different ways to look at it. Number one, do you even franchise tag either one of them? Like I said, Barkley because of short shelf life and injuries. And then again, how much money do you really want to give Jones? Because you've only seen you've only seen twice that season where he's gotten 300 yards in that season. Do you franchise either one of them? Do you not franchise either one of them? And I think Chris had said it best. I think if you do franchise, maybe you go the cheaper route and give the running back the cheaper version, about that $10 million, and then maybe give Daniel Jones a 2-year $40 million, which would be $20 million a year, which I think gives him the opportunity to show you that he can be consistent. But what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I'm with that same mindset, man. I think that we know that Barkley, he looked good last year. Glad that he got his legs back under him, but I could see why they're still maybe a little skeptical. He is getting older day by day, and we know the whole stigma with running backs. Once you reach a certain age, you're pretty much disposable. So I could see them franchise tagging him. And if he does still out next season and have a phenomenal year like he did this past year, I could see him giving him a long-term deal. But as for Daniel Jones, I think that Daboll is a really good fan of him. And obviously he had a really good year this year for New York. They've gotten him some more weapons. And I mean, I think that team could be pretty solid out there, Jay, in the NFC East. We saw what they did this past year, and I think maybe a 3-year deal just depends. Nothing super long term though. If it doesn't work out for him, it's still a deal that you can trade to someone else or potentially cut. But I don't see him doing anything super long term with him quite yet, just because it's only been one season. There has been more success with Barkley, but given his injury history, I still wouldn't trust it fully. So I would franchise tag Barkley as the running back, and then I'd give Jones maybe like a 2-year deal, like we're saying, just something a little bit more secure, but still, if you still struggle, we can still get you out of here.
Yeah, because I honestly don't think either one of those two guys that I've seen enough on a consistent basis to give them the long-term deals they're looking for. I need to see more consistency from Jones, and I need to see a better health record from Barkley for me to feel comfortable giving those guys the long-term deals they're looking for. To Damian Hernandez asked, Jay, would you trade Dak for Lamar? I absolutely would not, and I'm going to tell you why. Because there's a couple of reasons. Number one, Lamar is a hell of a playmaker, no doubt. I don't like his passing. I like his running. I don't like his quarterback mentality. I'm kind of more of a, if I'm going to trade for anybody, I like the Jalen Hurts or the Josh Allen. I like more of a quarterback who thinks to pass first and then run second if it doesn't work out. That's kind of more the traditional quarterback that I want. But secondly, even with that set aside, the fact that what Lamar Jackson wants for a contract does not financially work for the cap situation that Dallas is currently facing. Dallas right now is $7.6 million over the hard cap. So to bring in a guy like Lamar, we're going to have to cut a lot of contracts to fit him in, and it's just not feasible, nor is it practical for the Cowboys to make that decision. So no, I would not trade Dak for Lamar based on those reasons. Speaking of the Cowboys, they can either franchise Pollard or they can franchise Schultz. And I got to be honest with you, in this case, I'm going to franchise tag Schultz. I think Schultz is highly underrated for what he brings to the Cowboys. He's a good blocker. He's a great pass catcher. And he's been there for quite a few clutch moments for Dak Prescott. Pollard, on the other hand, he's coming off of a pretty serious leg injury. It looks like he should make it back. Hopefully maybe 1 or 2 games missed. I don't know. We'll see. But again, there's a lot of quarterbacks out or running backs out there that we could make a play on, whether it be through the draft in Robinson, Gibbs, or whoever, or be it through free agency like Josh Jacobs or whoever may be out there. So I think there's more of a stable of running backs to choose from that you can fit within that cap. But I think getting Dalton Schultz under contract is, in my opinion, the better way to go in this situation. Schultz is $13 million, a lot of money. I will say for no Pro Bowl. So that is kind of a little bit of the knock on him. But again, I really believe that Schultz is just underrated and he doesn't get the attention that I think that he deserves. But that's just me. Gonzo, what do you think? Who are you franchising?
If I was going to franchise out of them two, it's going to be Schultz. It's just to me, it's hard to franchise tag a guy in Pollard that right now only has the one good leg. And I hate to say, when he does get healthy, you don't know how long it's going to take him to get back to what he was before the injury.
Right.
And you never know if he's going to get back to that level. You hope he does, but a lot of times we were talking earlier, leg injuries like that take a couple of years before you're back to yourself.
Oh, absolutely.
And
absolutely.
So
absolutely.
I just don't know if that's the guy you want to put the franchise tag on. So I think it'll probably be Schultz. And I think they're probably going to be looking for a running back in the draft or maybe through free agency. But I think with their cap situation, they'll probably be looking to get one in the draft because it would be cheaper.
And again, that leg injury is more than just, a jacked up fibula. It's the membrane that stabilizes those two bones, the tib and the fib. There's that membrane in there that he jacked up as well. So there's a lot of stability issues that he's going to have as he goes through the rehab process. And again, you just don't know how that's going to translate come regular season if the surgery was successful enough to give him the stability that a running back is going to have to make the cuts that they got to go left or right. As that's what he is. He's an east-west runner. He's not a north-south. So you really got to have that stability when you're making those cuts. Logan, what do you think, man?
Yeah, I would franchise tag Schultz only because I like Pollard. He's done really well for y'all, Jay. Straight out of Memphis, and he's done a good job in his role. That he's been getting more carries as of late in recent years, and he's made the most of it. But it's unfortunate that injury occurred when it did. It seemed like now he was just there, Jay. I feel in terms of overtaking Zeke. And now that he's injured, and we're going to talk about Zeke here in a little bit. Now it's just up in the air because you don't know how he's going to come back. You don't know if he's going to be what he was. You don't know if he's going to be better or if it's going to be worse. And that's the unfortunate thing with injuries, and especially leg injuries for running backs, is you don't know how it's going to affect them long term. But like I said, Schultz, really good tight end. He's super solid. He's going to get you the easy catches. He doesn't drop a lot. He's solid in the red zone. So, I would definitely tag him. And, if he continues, Jay, to be on the path he's on, another really solid pickup at tight end y'all got really over your history. So, I would definitely tag him. And then for Pollard, just, I would see what he does this year. And, if he comes back and if he does what he's been doing, I think you give him the keys, Jay. You give him the keys, say, look, you're a start running back now. You're the number one guy. Let's see what you can do.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I definitely agree with you. Switching over real quick to the Bills. If you know anything about the Bills, right now they're $18.7 million over the cap. Let me say it again. They are 18.7 over the cap. Who do you tag? You got two guys specifically that you got to look at. You got Jordan Poirier again, and you got linebacker Tremont Edmonds. And Edmonds was a two-time Pro Bowler who's 24 years old, coming off a 5 triple-digit tackle season. So this guy, in my opinion, that's who I'm probably going to wind up franchise tagging is my linebacker and Tremont Edmonds. As me and Gonzo were talking earlier, you got two field generals on that team. One is the quarterback on the offense. The second one is a linebacker on the defense. Those are the guys that are typically calling the plays for either side of the ball. And I think it's very important that you lock up Tremaine Edmonds. Not that Poirier, you don't want to tag or you don't want to pass up on him. But I think if it comes down to those two guys, I'm going to be tagging up Edmonds. My question is, who's going to take a pay cut in order to keep Poirier to get that 18.7 underneath the cap? Gonzo, what's your thoughts on all this?
I think they franchise tag Edmonds as well. When you have a top linebacker in the league, you got to keep him, and they're not in a situation now where they can really sign him to the kind of contract that he's going to want or deserves, that he deserves or that he's going to want because he's going to want a big contract. So I think you tag him, try to work on your cap situation, and then try to sign him next season. they'll probably they'll end up losing somebody, but I think that they'll cut somebody at a different position and find the money for Poirier. But I do think they'll use the franchise tag on Edmonds.
Yeah, absolutely. So Logan, like I said, they're 18.7 over the cap. Just to give you a little history on the Buffalo Bills, in the history of the Buffalo Bills, they've only franchise tagged 5 times. 5 times have they franchise tagged in the history of that organization. Do you think they franchise tag? And if so, who?
I think you got to make it 6 with Edmonds, man. I mean, he is one of the best linebackers in the league. Jay, in his 5 years he's been with the Bills, he's gotten over 100 tackles in all 5 seasons.
Right.
I mean, that is a menace on the defense.
Yeah.
And like you said, their field general. So you gotta, I think you tag them this year, and then, if they end up getting some money, if they end up freeing up some more cap space, you gotta re-sign him. I think he's only 24, so he's still got a lot of time left in the league. But yeah, I think he's definitely earned that money, man. Like I said, they'll tag him this year. Say, we get you on this 1-year deal here. We'll see if we can do something for you. And if not, then I think that'd be a big blow to their defense if they can't lock him up long term.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, this Buffalo Bills team have been on the cusp several times, and it just seems like there's some kind of black cloud over Buffalo where they're dealing with trying to get people under the cap, dealing with injuries. It always just seems in Buffalo, something just doesn't go right. And this goes all the way back to the days of Jim Kelly, where they made and Marv Levy and Bruce Smith and Thurman Thomas and company, where they just could never, ever, ever get that Super Bowl. There's some kind of cloud over Buffalo that it just hurts them every single year, no matter what they do. They're always facing something. Real quick, let's turn over to the last one I wanted to talk about, which, in my opinion, is probably one of the biggest ones to talk about, and that's with the Philadelphia Eagles. They got a lot of decisions to make, a lot. I will tell you, the top 3 guys that are out there is safety C.J. Garner-Johnson, cornerback James Bradbury, which, Bradbury had the infamous pull on the jersey that put them into field goal range and ultimately cost them the Super Bowl. And then you have defensive lineman Javon Hargrove. Now, give you a little insight. Hargrove is coming off an 11-sack season. Bradbury is coming off an all-pro corner season. And you look at C.J. Garner-Johnson at the safety, most likely I think had 6 interceptions on the season. So who do you franchise tag? I think if it's me, I'm probably going to go after Hargrove. And those 11 sacks. Logan, who do you go with?
Oh man, this is a rough one. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned 11 sacks, man. That's tough to replace. That's the equivalent of maybe 2 players. If you don't tag him, if you don't keep him around. But then you mentioned Johnson. I mean, he's a solid player too. We know obviously what happened in the Super Bowl, all that stuff. We already talked about that, but. Damien said, I see Von Miller leaving I think he meant the Bills, not the Bulls. Whoever Bobby Wagbury is, must be a new player.
Hey, Damien, we told you last night, you have to use emojis. Quit typing, use emojis.
That is true. You got to put some flair in there, buddy.
Oh, man. Yeah, he does go on to correct it.
There we go. We still need some emojis on that. But honestly, Jay, I mean, I think you gotta tag him. He's got 11 sacks, man. That's hard to replace. But man, they got a lot of tough decisions, and that's just the beginning of it.
Yeah, absolutely. A defensive lineman like that, they're often hard to come by. I'm not saying that safety or cornerbacks aren't hard to come by, but you can address that in the draft much easier, I think, than you can the defensive lineman aspect of it. But again, at some point, the Eagles, they're going to have a lot of tough – I don't envy the Eagles right now. They got a lot of tough decisions to make. Again, with the extension that, Hurts is looking after, the fact that A.J. Brown said that if you don't give him the extension, I'm tied to him and I'm gone too. There's a lot of tough decisions that this Eagles team truthfully is going to have to make. And if they want to – and if the Eagles themselves want to get back, some of these players may have to say, you know what, I might have to take one for the team. So, or do some restructuring. I think the Eagles are going to have to get creative and find ways to restructure a lot of these deals to make it happen. I think it can happen, but it's going to take a lot of effort and a lot of buy-in from players if they want to keep this team together. Real quick, I want to talk real quick about Brock Purdy. We kind of talked about this on the afternoon show. I just want to kind of give you an update. So, again, is looking at his 6 months of recovery time. That does include, or I should say, it'll be really 7 months if you add in the 1 month. It looks like they're going to have to wait for the inflammation to go down. But these doctors are very confident that it's not going to affect him missing the season. And for the 49ers, that's hella good news, considering the fact that Trey Lance, we don't know what's going on with his foot or when he's going to be back. Most likely Garoppolo is gone. And so you really need a healthy Brock Purdy to start off your season. But Gonzo, man, how you think about that?
It sounds like Purdy will be ready pretty much for the beginning of the preseason and stuff, because they're saying August. They're saying 6 months, which is surprising that since he still can't have the surgery because of swelling. So you would think having to push back the surgery could affect that more, but they're acting like they're not worried about that. So I mean, I think the 49ers need him back. I don't think the 49ers are confident in starting the season with Trey Lance. I think Purdy's going to be their guy, and but I do see them maybe going after bringing in maybe a solid backup in case of an injury. So you have somebody to go to in case Purdy isn't ready, or if he is, or if an injury was to occur, and you don't know what you're going to get from Trey Lance because he's going to be coming off an injury as well.
Right.
So they're in a tough situation with two guys coming off injuries, and not knowing what they're going to look like. So I think they're going to bring in a veteran quarterback as a backup. I've been hearing the name Matt Ryan, and I don't think that'd be a bad move to bring a guy in like Matt Ryan to have as a backup.
No, absolutely. I mean, obviously you don't want to go that route. You want to make sure that Purdy stays healthy, but God forbid if Purdy does go down, like, unfortunately, like he did, Matt Ryan is still better than going with the Christian McCaffrey and getting put into that position.
And Matt Ryan also would be good because it's a veteran guy that can help develop and bring along a young guy like Purdy or Lance.
There's a lot of reasons why I think Matt Ryan would fit okay there. He doesn't have to be the guy. You got other guys that are already the guys with the hell of a five running game, the wildcatness with Debo. I mean, Ayuk, Kittle. There's plethora of good things there. All he has to do is just don't turn the damn ball over, and he'll be just fine. Logan, Brock Purdy.
Yeah, I mean, Jay, we were saying before the season even started that they were going to have the limit at the end of the year. Little did we know that there would be a new quarterback in the mix. I'm under the assumption that Garoppolo is going to get traded or he's going to head somewhere else. And, Brock Purdy outplayed Trey Lance last year. I mean, there's no debating that. I understand that Trey got injured and hate to see that for the young guy. But in the limited time he did play, he got outplayed by the last pick in the draft. And that's not what you want to see. So I think what they'll rock with is, like I said, Brock, hopefully he'll come back. And, like I said, all signs are pointing he's going to be healthy by the time the season starts, the regular season, that is. And, looks like I think they'll go with him beginning half. And if it doesn't work out, you still got someone behind you. If it is going to be Trey Lance or if it is going to be a veteran. But I think that Garoppolo gets shipped off somewhere, and you still rock with Purdy, man. He's got the chemistry with the locker room, and I think he'll do fine.
Yeah, absolutely. And staying with the football topics, I do want to talk about these Raiders. Logan, this is your team, so I want to kind of get your thought process. You guys are, in my opinion, in a pretty good spot. You are drafted at the number 7 spot. I think you got 3 options, if you will, for what you can do with your cornerback situation. Again, you guys are $48.4 million in cap space, so you got a plethora of money to work with, which is great for you guys. I think option one, you can sign the gap fill. I call it gap fill quarterback in Garoppolo and rock that way, and maybe pick up some other offensive linemen, things like that. Maybe, what have yous. And you got to figure out what you're going to do with Jacobs as well. But you got plenty enough room to deal with that. And so I think you could get Garoppolo, which would be a very affordable measure that you could bring in. He also is familiar with Josh McDaniels' offense. So I think it would be a seamless transition over there for you guys. That would be a cost-effective free agent to pick up. Number two, you go all the way in and give up a lot of draft picks and cash and this, that, and the other for an Aaron Rodgers and teaming back up with Devontae Adams. I think out of the three options I'm giving you, that's the least attractive, in my opinion, for you guys. I got Garoppolo as the second most attractive, but I think the most attractive to me would be that you trade up out of the 7 spot with the Bears and you go all in for CJ Stroud. You bring CJ Stroud in. I think he would fit nicely in with Josh McDaniels' system. He can throw the dink and dunk passes. He has good mobility, some good mobility with his feet, and he can give you the long ball if you have to out there to Devontae. So, in my opinion, I think Stroud is the most attractive option to me. But Logan, this is, after all, your team, man. What do you think?
Yeah, after processing Derek Carr getting released and Tom Brady retiring, right? That option went out the window. I've been sold on we just need to get another young quarterback, man. I mean, I think I don't know if it's tricky, Jay, because I don't know if they're going to even need to trade up to get CJ Stroud. It's interesting, right? There's a bunch of teams in the mix who some need a quarterback, some really don't in those top 10 slots. But you just don't know. I would hope they could get CJ Stroud. Bryce Young's always a solid option too. I'm not really sold on Will Levis. Mostly it's just those two guys I just mentioned who I really want. But you mentioned Jacobs. He had a great year this past season. He's up for some money. And if you bring in Garoppolo, which isn't a bad option, I feel I'd rather have him than Aaron Rodgers, just because he fits the system better, I think. And plus you wouldn't have to give up nearly as much for him. So plus Garoppolo will play. If he does do well, you can keep him for a little bit longer. Rodgers, he just got out of his hole. I mean, we don't know if he's even going to play this season. So that's an option there too. But I would rather go with the young route. Say what you will about Derek Carr. He didn't win a whole lot in terms of postseason success, but I mean, he was a stable quarterback when the Raiders haven't had a stable quarterback since I've been alive, pretty much. The last 8-9 years, give or take. Let's see. Devontae is going to play with an overrated, egotistical diva that threw him under the bus, chose money over a so-called friend. Damian, hey, I mean, we don't know if there's any resentment there or not between those two guys. There might be, there might not be, but if I'm Devontae, I'm still a little pissed about this, man, because I went over there to play with my old college roommate and college quarterback, and after half a season, really, he's gone. So that didn't work. But if I was him, I'd rather get a young guy. I mean, you can really teach him something, I think, and that would help out.
And Chris, there is a fourth option they could do. It would be tied in with Garoppolo being the gap field quarterback until he gets developed enough to take over the reins. And that would be that the Raiders could take, either Dugan or even Stetson Bennett or even Hendon Hooker. Somewhere in that second round, there should be a quarterback available that they could pick up and develop behind Garoppolo. So what do you think?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. To see what they do. I kind of think Aaron Rodgers might end up there just because of Devontae Adams, but I don't know how him and McDaniels would get along. That would be the worry I would have, is because I don't care for I don't think McDaniels is the right coach. I think that's the Raiders' biggest problem. I don't think Carr was the problem. Yeah. I can see him maybe going with a guy like maybe a Garoppolo because he has played with in McDaniel's system before, and then maybe go after, like you said, maybe draft a young guy, unless you can get, if they want Stroud and you can get that quarterback in the draft if he's still there for you. I mean, I can see him maybe going that way. But even if they draft a guy like Stroud, you might still see him get a guy like Garoppolo, okay, so you can get Stroud ready to play.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot. I mean, obviously the Raiders have a lot to think about. I will say this to you guys: the one good thing for the Raiders is they, like you said, they have a great amount of cap space available. They do have a decent pick that they can either trade up, trade down, whatever they want to do. There's a lot of options out there for this Raiders team to contemplate. I will tell you, Logan, I agree very much so with Gonzo that I don't think Josh McDaniels is the right skipper to have at the helm, but it is what it is, and they're going to have to wait and see what next year comes available to them. Moving on real quick, what underrated player do you have in Major League Baseball? And if you guys don't have it, it's okay. I put it in the chat groups. I don't know if y'all were doing your homework.
I didn't see
I
it.
did a little bit of work.
You did.
I got one.
Okay.
I don't know what chat group you're talking about.
Oh, you know what it is. I put the realist group. You're in there. Hey, look, I'll put it out there so you guys can do your homework.
You know what the bad thing is? I looked at the topics and everything, but I didn't see this one. I really didn't.
It's okay, Gonzo, man. Look, you're old. You probably bypassed it. It's not a big deal. Logan, if you got one, let's hear what you got, brother.
I got you, Jay. I got you, brother. I'm rocking with Dalton Varshow out there. He was with the Diamondbacks. He's moving over. Went to Toronto this offseason. He's a young guy, been in the league since 2020. He had a really good year last year, man. 27 home runs, almost 75 RBIs. Strikes out a decent amount, though. He had 145, so he's got to work on that. But like I said, average 235. But I think that with the weapons they got over there with Vladdy, with Bichette, with all the other really good weapons on the offense, I think they would rather pitch around those guys to get to him. And I think that'll help him line up a little bit. And he's got some good speed. He's got solid defense. So I think he's a guy who could really help out in that Blue Jays system out there in the East.
Yeah, absolutely. That's actually a really good pick. Mine, I went with the Marlins. I really love left-handed pitching because you don't see a lot of it. Typically, we get a lot of right-handed pitchers in the league, but the Marlins got that left-handed pitcher, Jesus Luzardo, that young 25-year-old. He came into the league kind of rough. In 2020, he put up a 6.87 ERA over 38 innings. He did flip his thing in 2021. He did okay. But I think last year was really his best year, and I think this is why I think he's due for a breakout. Last year, he put up a 3.32 ERA with a 1.04 whip. It's the whip that I really like about this guy. And also, he put up 120 strikeouts over 100 innings and 18 starts. So I look for him to continue that progress, and I look for him to get that ERA down to around even 3 or maybe even under 3, given where he's come from and where he's going. So I really expect him to have a pretty good breakout season. And I think with that breakout season, either the Marlins are going to have to pay him or he's going to be going someplace else. And I would not be opposed if the Astros took a hand on or a chance on a guy like that, because the Astros, as much as I love my team, they got a lot of right-handed pitching, but not a whole lot of left-handed. And I really like that left-handed pitching. I think that's a huge weapon to have in your arsenal. But Gonzo, I've given you some time now. I hope you did a little homework. Do you got anybody? If not, it's all good.
Yeah, I had one real quick. It didn't take long for me to think of one. The guy I think will have breakout season is going to be Jonathan India for the Cincinnati Reds. Came out as a rookie and was on fire.
Right.
Oh, he had 143 hits his rookie season. And walked 70 times and had 70 RBIs as a rookie. Then last year he battled an injury and his numbers were down a little bit. I think he's going to have a big bounce back year this year. And so I think that's a guy that's a little underrated and is going to have a big breakout season this year for the Cincinnati Reds at second base. And like I said, he was killing the ball his rookie season. Last year he dropped his average dropped a little bit, but a lot of that was dealing with the injury. So I look for him to be healthy this year and have a breakout season.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a good choice as well. And again, Lance McCullers, typical Lance McCullers, he always starts off the season injured. It looks like he's going to miss part of the regular season is what they're forecasting. So that, I believe, is going to put a hole in the Astros rotation. They got Valdez, Javier, Garcia, and Urquidy. That gives them 4 starting pitchers. Lance McCullers fit right there at the 3rd spot in the rotation. Last year, like I guys told you earlier, Hunter Brown came up. He had 2 starts with an ERA of under 1 and a low WHIP. And I would like to see him, now that Lance McCullers is on the injury list, I would like to see them put Hunter Brown and move him up into that 3rd spot or 4th spot, 5th spot, wherever they feel like he would be best suited. And I think if they do that, and if he can continue where he left off last year, he could have a breakout season. But I just haven't seen enough of Hunter Brown to be able to say that he's going to have a breakout season. But I would like to see him get that opportunity to see if he can actually make that happen. A lot of good things are happening over there. Real quick, I'm going to shift over to NBA real quick. Bronny, in the latest mock draft, I believe it was on SI.com. It was on ESPN. On the latest ESPN mock draft, they had Bronny going to Orlando in the 2024 draft at number 10. Where do you guys think that's realistic? And if so, do you now see that maybe LeBron goes to Orlando to play with Bronny? Because that's what he wants. Gonzo?
And LeBron to Orlando would be insane. That would be wild, man. That's the same as I think Patrick Ewing was on the Magic, so that'd be the same kind of look. But Bronny top 10. I mean, obviously he's gonna be a top 10 pick. I mean, come on. He's a solid player too. It's not just because of the namesake, but he is a good player. But when is his draft age? Right? When it's not this upcoming year, obviously, but he's still got 2 years maybe.
Yeah. Are you asking when the draft is?
For him, like when is he eligible?
Yeah, that would be the 2024 draft.
Okay, yeah. So he's still got 2 years. I mean, top 10. 2 years out, obviously he can move up, which he very well could. But I mean, I think that Orlando's got a bunch of young guys. I'm sure they've got the maybe youngest or second youngest next to Houston. In terms of just how the age of the roster overall. They got Banchero who's doing his thing out there. And I mean, he's probably running away with Rookie of the Year. But I mean, if they can get Bronny, man, I mean that would be solid. I mean, obviously he's a solid player, and we'll see how he translates the next few seasons. But that would be kind of strange for LeBron going to the Orlando Magic of all places. A team who hasn't really had a superstar in quite some time. So that would be a sight to see for sure.
Yeah, Tony, he's got Hunter Green, says 15 wins if healthy. So, Hunter Green could definitely be one for sure. Damian's got Jose Abreu. He thinks he gets it. I'll tell you, I hope Jose Abreu does. I wouldn't be mad if he did.
Come on, knock one down. Damn it. Oh, got the bounce. Sorry.
Poor God. So
also, let me just say, Damian also can Abreu really be underrated? He's a former MVP and he's like 36.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just saying. I mean, we mentioned some young guys here. Dave's like, let me get the old guy.
Hey, one of the last things I want to talk about in this breaking news real quick is Tua. Does Tua, coming off the concussions, he's up for a contract. What the hell does Miami do with this guy? He's got injuries. Do we give? I mean, he's obviously shown that he can quarterback well. He can do something with this Miami squad if he can just stay off the concussion protocol. I think and those hips and things of that nature. How long of a deal do you give Tua? If it's me, I say 2 years. I'm going to go around that $40 million. I think 2020. I might even go 2 years at $50 million. I'm not going to go above $25 million a year, but I think 2 years at 50, 2 years at 40, somewhere in that neighborhood. is probably what I give Tua, and then we see where we are. Again, I probably guarantee maybe half of that contract. Gonzo? What are we looking at with Tua?
I think I wouldn't give him more than a 2-year deal, and it's not necessarily due to his performance. It's more about his health. I mean, the guy had 3 or 4 concussions this season. Is he going to be able to stay healthy and make it? He hasn't been able to make it through a full 16 game season yet. So is his body going to be able to do that? I think they give him a deal, kind of like you said, maybe a 2-year deal, and they might even try to get like a team option or something on the second year or something, have some kind of an out in case he doesn't stay healthy the first year. But did you remember how I was saying he needed to learn how to fall better? You see, he's taking judo now.
Oh, okay.
Try to learn how to fall better.
Hey, listen, if I was him, I'd be taking judo too, because at some point you got to do better with the falls. By the way, your pop says I'm supposed to ask you about Damian. I guess what he said earlier about the Suns and Lakers.
Oh, yeah, he said that he would bet money that the Lakers will make the playoffs before the Suns make the playoffs.
Oh, what the? Okay. Hey, that's
But that
a hot
offered
take
him
right there.
$1,000.
I'm not even getting that. If I had something that said crazy take, I'd put crazy take before I put hot take. I don't know.
Fair. That's fair.
I don't know. Logan, I know you got to hop off for the night. Matter of fact, I think these last 2 topics, I'm gonna save them for because they're not time sensitive. I'll probably save those for Tuesday's shows. But again, man, hey, what a time to be alive, man. There's a lot of things going on in sports. I think we're up for some really big things coming up in the near future. But, man, what a time to be alive. Let's go ahead and get to some final thoughts, and then we'll get up on out of here for the night, man. Gonzo, lead us off, man, in your final thoughts, brother, and what you got going on over there at GSR.
First of all, check out the new ASAP Network app, Android, Google Play Store, Roku channel, and also on Amazon. If you got a Fire Stick, you can find the app right there on your Fire Stick. So check it out. Should be on Apple soon. Like Dad's saying, we're going to be doing that watch party tomorrow on GSR for the BKFC. If you like talking fighting, then bare knuckle fighting's funner than hell to watch because somebody's getting knocked out about every fight. If you like seeing knockouts, that's the thing to watch. Watched Greg Hardy get hammered last weekend, and then I'll be watching some XFL this weekend as well. But also April 8th, we'll be live streaming a wrestling show that WWE Hall of Famer and Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle will be on. So make sure you check that out.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Those are big time interviews coming up for Gonzo's wrestling room, Gonzo's sports room. So
and
make sure you guys check that out.
And also make sure you follow us on social media because we got some big news that we'll be announcing here real soon.
Go.
There you go, Logan. Give me some.
Hey, that's news even we don't know about. Hey, that's news even we don't know about, Chris. That's real breaking news there, brother. Yeah. Like Tony said, big news coming soon for y'all. Happy for that. Yeah. Like I said, follow me and Frankie, TikTok, Twitter. You see it at the bottom there. Don't gotta say it. Y'all can read it. We're doing some good work over there. If y'all want to, check me out early mornings, Monday through Friday, 5 a.m. until 11 on Access WDUN AM 550 and FM 102.9. Talking actual news. Love sports. I sprinkle some sports in there, as y'all know, some headlines. But talking some real world news here throughout in the North Georgia area. So check me out there if you're in the Georgia area. Got the dials there on your radio. Or, of course, we got apps. Of course, there's an app you can download and listen to me over there. So check me out there. And like I said, good work, fellas. Awesome show tonight. And Jay, Chris, we got baseball coming back tomorrow. Spring training. Like I said, the wins don't matter. I'm looking forward to seeing the young guys come out and see what they can do. And, hey, we got a lot going on, but we are going to be here to cover it all.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Again, man, to make sure you do check out Gonzo Sports Room. Lots of good stuff. Check out Logan over there in his new radio job. And definitely throw some prayers up for Orlando as well, like Damian says. And make sure you throw some prayers up for Logan, as you know, Logan is a growing adult. The man got his first apartment, and now he's moved in his woman. And the man is going to need all the help he can get. But we love Logan, and hey, look, you can't keep him in the nest forever. Sometimes you got to let him go out and fly.
There we go.
Got to let him go out and fly, Logan, and hopefully they do well.
That's it, brother. That's it.
But no, hey, for everybody here, make sure you check out Twitter again at Unscripted Guys, all one word. TikTok, Logan does over there, Unscripted Sports, all one word. And again, last but not least, make sure you're checking out ASAP Network on Google Play, Amazon. Check us out on Roku, Bet Us, and all the other partnerships that we are getting involved in. Until next time, folks, man, I appreciate each and every one of you. Damian, Tony, Anthony Price, all you guys that comment, man, we love you guys and we thank you, and we out.